All right. This damn thing, of course, now it doesn't work. So everybody, welcome to Chat with Chad tonight. I'm trying to get my Rocky music to work, and then for some reason I cannot get this. My internet's been goofy, so I can't get it to work. But I guess we'll decide to go without Rocky tonight, even though since I restarted up, you haven't been able to hear it anyway. So welcome everybody, Chat with Chad. I'm gonna get this off here. I got to turn it over to another thing so I can see the captions and see everything. So when people comment, I can see who it is, different things. Okay. Well, tonight's topic, and by the way, Mike Fazy's here. Thank you, Mike, for coming. As always, I mean, it should be the chat with Chad and Mike show. So tonight's topic is, happy holidays. Happy buying season this year. I mean, so it's been I would say not a typical year. I know some people might be having a typical year, but I know a lot of people are not. And it's not all bad. And I don't want to get into bad. I want to talk about good stuff. And so, again, hi, Mike. I interrupted you. I wasn't doing my first beginning thoughts. So what's going on, brother?
Happy to hang out with you, Chad. Yeah, always, man. Having a good week.
A pleasure. And so, so let's just dive into it. So, I mean, let's start off where we just left off with emails in just a little bit ago. So I'm going to kind of set it up. It's a little different to talk about the buying season. I'm going to hold that off till we get a few more viewers on here. But what did happen today to me, I had Lee Rolfe call me. He's a competitor of mine. If you don't know it, he owns a Lord's Chimney, second generation guy down in Houston, and calls me up and says, hey, I have an upset customer that was blaming you on a job that you didn't do, that one of these spamming companies that had Google map listings went there, squirted some stuff up her chimney, charged her $400, didn't give her an invoice. And she's super pissed, calls Lee's company up. And Lee, as a good competitor, I mean, we're friendly. And he goes, that's not Chad's company. I guarantee it. And then finds out who it is. And it's not me. It's someone saying their master's chimney something, whatever, down there in Houston. And, it was total phony. It's just scenario. So Lee calls me up and tells me about it and says, I've been talking to Mike about how to get some of these off. And so, to get these people off of Google Maps, because they're all fake and spammy and blah, blah, blah. And I have already talked to Mike about this even recently. And so I kind of told Lee, a little bit about it. And Lee goes, well, Mike gave me the company he was using. And I called them up. This is Lee saying this. I called them up and they told me what they were doing, which is pretty easy because I think what they're charging $25 a week or a month to do whatever they're doing. I mean, and so I said, Lee, well, okay, I'll look at, this on Friday, blah, 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 tomorrow or Friday, I mean. And it got to me. It didn't take me like 2 minutes to go, okay, I gotta go try this and see what it does. So I went in there. I had to call Lee back and say, hey, talk me through this real quick. And he laughed. And then he talked me through it really quick. It's super simple. It's like 3 clicks. You literally go to their review or you go to their GMB, go to maps, not the GMB, go to the map section. You go in there and you click add a suggestion. You click on the company is, in our case, we said is not a real location, and then hit send. And I did it to like 30 companies between Dallas and Houston. And currently I have 9 now, even more than when we last talked, have all been taken off of Google because they're all bullshit companies. They're not real. And so one of them, believe it or not, I've seen in the Map Pack in Dallas. I've seen it. So I was super happy about that. And so, I'd be glad. I mean, that's literally all you do. And I just sat here for about 30 minutes and got click happy and got through about 30 of them. And that's what it is. And then you sent me over your file spreadsheet. Tell me about yours.
Well, I used to do the same thing, maybe we're like, okay, this kind of comes up once every couple of months, and I'll put in, half an hour every other month, kind of doing the same thing you were doing, and it didn't seem to be that big of an issue. But this year, it's still not an issue in terms of us like booking jobs and that kind of thing. But we've had a tremendous amount of customers call up that these people are just doing, pretty horrific things to them and putting them in dangerous situations and just like scamming them out of a bunch of money. And then they basically have to start back over with, a legitimate chimney company after they've spent, $500 or $1,000, and they're like confused and, just got ripped off. We've had a ton of that happening. So just, we should devote some kind of time to it. And so we did I did the same thing this year. We made a list. It's about 100 and something in our service area. And I went through, flagged them all, maybe got 2 removed. And so I'm like, okay, I'll pass it to someone else in our company. And anyway, we went through 4 times. Then we had someone fill out all the redressal forms, which is the next level of doing that. You basically fill out a form and you can give them more information about why this is, a spam company. And it takes a lot more time, a little bit more time and effort. So we went through and did that with all of them. And we didn't get any more taken down. So now we're like, okay, we're kind of stuck here. So I called around and yeah, a lot of these companies are just doing the same thing that are the spam removal companies. They're flagging them, or a lot of them do the redressal forms, which is nice. It's time you don't want to spend doing that.
Right.
So we used about 4 companies all at the same time. And the one company that had success was actually charging a pretty reasonable rate, maybe it's $100 a month to do all of our listings, or to try and get them down. And they had the most success. I think they got 25 down a couple weeks ago. And basically what they're doing that's different than us is they have, just carry a lot more weight with Google. Like this, you flagging them is because you have a Google account that you use. Maybe you've left some reviews over a period of time, or use the email, it knows it's a real person. You carry a little bit of weight with that. And these guys, the accounts that they're using carry a lot of weight. And so that's the kind of difference that company has. But yeah, I don't know why they got so much more difficult in our area, but it's.
Well, it's definitely something. I like your tracking thing, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get that deep into it, because once I'm doing it, I can still see who it is, and I'm good with. I'm a savant on that kind of memory stuff, so I'll see if they come back up. I'll remember them. One of the things that was key to me before I address what you just said was when I was looking at them, I would start looking at their websites, and all the websites are total junk, like chimneysweet.my site, all these stupid names that aren't even the name of the company. And They are getting smarter where they're starting to use people's names like Sullivan Chimney Sweep or something like that. But then you look at the URL, it doesn't say Sullivan Chimney Sweep. It'll say something like chimneytexas.org. It's like, really? They have 25 reviews. And then you go to look at their location. It's a dead lot somewhere. It doesn't even have a house on it or a building on it. It's like, no, this is spam. And so you go through all that. But I do think that if you keep doing it like you will and pay a little bit more to do it. And I love the idea that Lee and I are working together with it, kind of. He's doing it, I'm doing it. And that carries weight, because I did do it out of one of my chimney Gmails. And then my daughter texted me before all this, texted me to start doing reviews, because it does help our chimney business if the same Google thing I'm doing is doing reviews. So I started doing reviews. I did like 5 reviews today on legitimate companies that I want to review, which I never would have before. And now I'm doing it to help myself, but it will help the company too that I helped, and I'll start doing more. because you want to get that badge of local, whatever it's called, expert or whatever.
Local guide, something.
Yeah, local. Yeah, I think it is expert guide, local guide, whatever, right? And do that. And so, another thing to tell everybody, since I started a marketing company, I'm really in tune with a lot of marketing forums and everything else. And they had the new Google update within the last month about your hours. Are you aware of this one? Did I tell you about this one already?
Yeah.
If you have your business hours on your Google My Business listing, Google profile, whatever you want to call it, and it says like 8 to 5, that's when you're answering the phones. Well, guess what? At 6 o'clock, you're not on Google My Business anymore. So I knew about the update, didn't think much of it. And then Sunday, I went to the second day of a volleyball tournament, and I ended up started looking up my rankings in Dallas just because I was bored. It was in between games. I couldn't even find my business, and yet on Friday, I was A or B in the maps, and now it was just all of a sudden gone. What panicked me a little bit, and so and then I looked again at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock on Monday, and I was back to number 1 or 2. And so it was like, okay, it's the new algorithm. So I went and changed my hours from 6 a.m. to midnight. And now I'm pretty much staying on there. So if you are, because I want people to still do forums when they're awake and still go to my website. If the phone call doesn't work, leave a message, they can still go on there and do a form, And so I don't want to just be seen when the phones are on. I want to have people see my website all the time. So I changed my hours. So we're closed now from 12:01 in the morning to 6 a.m. But we're open the rest of the 18 hours a day, Monday through Saturday or Sunday. And so, hey, Chuck.
Hey.
So have you been listening, or did you just hop on?
No, I was listening as I was hopping on.
Got it. And so we're just talking about Google My Business profiles and map listings and how to get the spammy people off. And now I'm talking about a little bit of marketing stuff. And so
I don't know if you remember me telling you this, kind of maybe the inverse of that is I made the mistake of using our Gmail address. It was for a long time, it was our company's email address, right? For our listing was under, back when it was Mike's Mobile, like office at Mike's Mobile at gmail.com, whatever. And, we made our listings under that, and our whole call center was using that to funnel all of the messages going in and out. And we get a lot of, talking to you and other business owners. It sounds like you guys are mostly phone calls and some messages here and there, some emails. Like we get a ton of emails, we'll get 50 overnight, or quote forms and stuff like that, or more. And so we had some kind of issue where, we had, roughly 10 CSRs and in 2 different locations, and they were all using this one email address. So Google eventually flagged it as spam. And because it was attached to our Google listings, it also like spammed our Google listings, like made them more easier to get suspended, et cetera, et cetera. So whatever Gmail account you're using for your listings, like put that to the side and don't use it for anything. You know what I mean? It's not worth it to get,
Yeah. So we don't use ours. The call center doesn't use it at all. They have their own. So the Gmails, are what they are, and they are not attached to a company function whatsoever. Chuck, was that you asking, can I join?
No, I'm here.
Okay. If you go on the post I posted yesterday, I did post the link in yesterday's comments. I guess I'll have to.
No, you can see it.
You can see it? Okay, so is that how you got it, Chuck? So if you go into, I tried joining, but it said it ended. It's That was Chris. Okay, so Chris, it should. Did you go into? Because Chuck just used it. So if you go back to it, Chris, you should be able to click into it in yesterday's Chimney World post. So I don't think let me see if I can get it to text him. Anyway, so let's get on. So let's do this. Let's start with our topic. Mike, happy buying season. What's been going well for you this buying season?
Our technicians, this is the first time we've had chimney techs that have had a couple years under their belt, and they've gotten a lot more confident. What's worked well, we're doing a ton of hearth stuff, have some really good hearth products, hearth fenders, getting comfortable with that. I think we're a lot different than other hearth stores have like 100 offerings. You go in there and it's like overwhelming. And even for me, who understands like fuel types, and I just don't get it. I'm like, this is, too overwhelming. And so we just have a good, better, best model for every type of situation. And it really simplifies it for the customer. And that's all they really need. On the other side of the business, that's, chimneys are super busy this time of year. On the other side of the business that gets a little bit slower, we have our CSRs on outbound, and that's working out really well. We were basically able to cut our marketing budgets in half. And I just got the numbers for today. Basically, 20% of their calls are inbound and 80% of their calls are outbound. So they're all making 50 plus outbound calls a day. And booking the same amount that they were booking with twice as much ad spend. And that's huge. That greatly affects our P&L.
100%. I mean, that's like retargeting the clients that already called you, and working.
Working.
So I actually, you're telling me this, guys. Me and Mike talk almost every day. So I think we were talking on Monday, and it was Monday, and you're telling me about the same, how good they were. So I went onto my Kickserve and I saw that we had 5 emails that looked like they were not attended to, meaning they may have called them in the AM, but did they follow up and get them on the schedule in the afternoon? So I wrote a pretty good little spicy email to the call center about, man, get these off of the bottom of the report. And then I got phoned by my CFO. Dave's like, hey, did you ever go in there and read the notes? Because they've all been called twice today. I'm like, I did not go in there and read the notes. But, hey, okay, I got a little spicy with the call center. I hardly ever say anything naughty to them. So if they took a little heat on a spicy email, oh well. There's Chris. And so.
Hey, Chris.
Chris.
Hey.
So Chuck, what's going? I know you're not quite in the buying season anymore in your capacity, but what's going well with you?
Well, right now is usually our slow time of the year, because all the people that I work with for my clients, they're all covered up, obviously. But what I try to do usually around mid-November is forecasting. So what really works well and helps is looking at an idea of like, where are you going to be financially? What are we strategically planning for 2024 or the next year? And what do we think that's going to look like? And what's the risk benefit of making decisions? If we have extra cash flow, what do we want to do with it? Is there certain buying decisions that need to be made? Because it's always good to avoid taxes, but it's never a good proposition to spend money just to spend money. That's one of my bugaboos with most CPAs is they only tell you part of the story. Nobody likes to pay taxes, but you also don't want to spend all your liquid gold, have no money, and then if things slow down, then you've got no cash flow. and they don't tell you that other half. Most of the ones that I've dealt with, I have a very good one that I've been working with for a number of years, and he works with a lot of my clients. So it's really good to forecast. So that's been going really, really well, helping people make buying decisions in that sense.
Well, that sounds really familiar, doesn't it, Chris? Chris is one of my clients. Chris, what did we talk about last week?
Sitting on my hands and the toothpaste effect. I shared about that last week of just salvaging pretty much everything and just going from there. So credit cards at a zero balance, and it's going to stay that way for probably a couple hours. And, other than that, we're in a good spot. So.
Well, I find a lot of times chimney sweeps are guilty of, we're like trailer court rich right now, and we tend to shiny objects seem to get purchased a lot in the next 2 months, and then March we're singing the woe is me, and in April, and so I try to train my clients and anyone asking me. I actually get calls every once in a while. What should I do right now? They're not clients. And I'm like, don't spend your money right now. This is not the time to spend money. It's similar to when you need a loan. If you need the loan, you're not going to get a loan. They're not going to approve you. So you got to go get your line of credits and stuff. But when you are financially good, then they'll give you money. And then when you need it, you have it. But anytime you go to get a loan, a line of credit, and you like right now need it, those sharks are circling, and you're going to get one hell of a bad rate and a bad payback, and it's going to be tough in 6 months to deal with that. And so, I try to treat everybody. Said, I had a lot of fiscal conversations this week, today and the end of last week of, guys, just you're doing so good right now. Most of my clients, are on 2 million and under. I'm like, you've done well. We've got good sales growth. You've bought a bunch of stuff to get where we are already. Now it's time to hold. This is Braveheart. It's like they're charging and hold, before you put the spikes up and you kill the horses and stuff. But right now I'm yelling hold to everybody. And that's not because of the economy. If this was 2021 or 2019, I'd be telling my clients the same thing. Don't buy shiny stuff now. Don't do it. I mean, I stopped Mike from almost losing a property, buying a commercial property on buying something shiny. Did I not?
What was that one?
The boat.
Oh yeah, I was. Geez, thank God. Yeah, no, I was in that SBA loan, which is super intense. It's like I'll go back and do that. Mark knows.
Yeah.
It's like the craziest detectives. They sick on you and find out all this weird stuff in your past. And I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just casually, like at the end of our session, I was like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about buying a boat. You're like, what are you talking about? That's the worst idea ever.
Go buy a boat. You're right now at financial deadlines. You can't just go buy $100,000 luxury ski boat.
Yeah,
it's gonna kill your deal.
Yep. Good looking out.
Yeah, and so, and I'm sure, Chuck, you saved some other people doing some stuff, and they're doing that. I mean, that's just, I would have done that for anybody anyway. But yeah, Chris, what's going on with your buying season? Give me some happy buying season stories.
So buying, we ended up purchasing 9 units. I think I told you that. We've really been hitting hard with Cozy Heat and everything. A couple of Springfields and Nordics. They've been very beneficial, but really, like you just said earlier, I am ramped up for a third repair truck. We completely outfitted it. So we're ready. But other than that, I mean, we're about 63,000 away from our yearly goal. we beat our first goal that we made, so we tried to raise it to see if we could do it. And we're right there. So I'd say this: the downside of it, we've been running 2 crews for the first time since September to now, and some of the guys, they're experiencing the wear and tear. One of the guys, his shoulders kind of not feeling right. Had another buddy, he was coming down the ladder. It was a 4-inch step off, and sprained his ankle pretty good. But all in all, things are going really, really well. We started a new salesman too a couple months back. He's been shattering his goals. So right now, just trying to take it in a day at a time. And what we're really focusing on, and not so much all the sales and all of that. It's mainly the processes and procedures that we're really trying to buckle down on. But we haven't set like 2 days aside to really knock it out. People just keep calling, and we try to get to everyone as quick as we can. But here in a little bit, I'm gonna have to set at least 2 or 3 days aside to finish the system and processes. So, but that's where we're at. I'm super tired. Today we did a rip and replace, and it was pure madness. So, yeah.
What do you
Well,
do to
Chris, I have a question. What happens January 2nd in your market area?
So, I mean, typically our winter hasn't really hit yet. So, we're in that 40 to 45 degree weather. Usually it drops drastically below that.
Mhm.
So, I'd say January is probably 12 to potentially 13% of our year in revenue alone. And then February, the past 2 years, after running numbers the other day, we're give or take maybe 8% of the year. And then right around where it starts warming up, marketing shifts to exterior repairs. And we've the last 2 years been able to stay busy, but I think a lot of these companies that have popped up in our area, they drop off because they're trying to come in and just do the sweeps and get out. So really, there's only a few sweeps in our area that have solid credentials, certifications, licenses. So we all stay. I'm pretty sure we stay pretty busy. I know it's not just us. Um, but but yeah, so far so good the last 2 years. But you always have that worry. We've already started the marketing for organic to hit right around springtime. We ramped up instead of 287 words to 1,000 keywords. Just little tweaks here and there.
Yeah, the reason why I was asking if you're having a hard time finding time to schedule to work on your processes, if you think you can really do it in 2 days, is there a way you could not schedule a Friday and work a Saturday and do 2 days back to back and knock it out? Or would that be something impossible to do, you know, 3 or 4 weeks from now?
So the one thing Chad's probably gonna laugh at me later, but I've got 2 daughters, and my wife works full time too. So since the day I started the business, I said I won't work Saturdays and Sundays unless it's like a $200,000 project, and we got to finish it that Saturday. Um, I have been working on SOPs and processes here and there over the past 2 years to where it's just tiny little bits of fine tuning.
Mhm.
I've gathered all the photos of each step, how to, properly pour a crown, how to do a proper sweep, how to do a tile remove reline, a utility flue reline. So I have all the photos. I just have to individually go in and add, hey, 2 straps on your ridge hook ladders so they don't fall off. Always check your straps, stuff like that. So I have about 8 or 9 repairs that I need to finish and update the SOPs, which is over 200 plus slides. So yeah, I just
But
gotta.
you're going to be doing the verbiage on them.
Yes, and what I've learned is if I just go in, and this is just my preference. If I just go in and then I make it all what I want and nobody else, and I don't get anyone else's opinion, they don't buy into the idea as much when I say, hey, here's our goal, here's what we want to achieve. Number one is safety, period. Um, and then I kind of shoot out some ideas and get their input to where then they feel a part of as well. But ultimately, hey, we got to follow this path: safety, quality of work. I've had a lot more participation that way. Um, but yeah.
That's really good that you brought that up because when I write SOPs for companies, that's one of the warnings is, okay, I can get you 95% of the way there. You've got to tweak it because every company does things a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
But when you introduce them, you need to say, hey, here's some things I need your help reviewing.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely struck the right chord. It's got to be a team effort. So it's not an order coming from, from down on high, because then they rebel. So that's great
Yeah.
that you intuitively figured that out.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Chad has he's been instrumental for sure. I don't want to toot your horn on your Wednesday night podcast, but yeah, I've learned a lot just from the industry too, and I did a blue collar uh, experience a couple of years back with Mark Stoner, and it really changed my viewpoint on what the industry is going to be in 10, 15, 20 years from now. But that was 5 years ago.
Mhm.
So a lot has changed in a short amount of time, but I know that without safety, none of this stuff matters. So what I mean by that is, fall protection, PPE, helmets, eyes, ears, gloves, all that good stuff. Um, but yeah, it just makes everything easier, and I sleep a little bit better at night too. So yeah.
I mean, I don't want to shift this into a Jim Brewer session about safety, but it's absolutely, I mean, something that if you don't focus on it, no one's going to focus on it, and so they're not going to do it if you don't make them do it. They're not, and Masters, it's probably still, now that we've shifted over to all newer guys in the sales sweep department, educators department, it's a constant battle still. I mean, it's, I don't want to get down that road. So anyway, happy buying season is what we're going to talk about. So I mean, what's been I let everybody go, so I'm going to talk a little bit about my happy buying season. So easily said, we are going to hit, and I cannot believe it. I actually put this out on our little mixed group today. We're actually going to hit 4 million this year. I cannot believe we're gonna. We were bankrupt in June. It was bad, and I cannot believe we got there, and I cannot believe the profits that we have made this year with everyone who didn't even know what a chimney was 4th of July. It has been out the sales process that we've got, with Alan's help, a lot of my help, and everything else that we helped the company with, and then with Terry and John and Brian, just getting it all done and getting these guys to buy in, to understand, to learn. It's just been phenomenal. On another note, I didn't bring it up. I don't know if I did last week or not. And so we lost a call center girl who's dear to our hearts. My best friend's wife in Houston. She died 2 Sundays ago. So not this past week. So 10 days ago. And so we're kind of in a little bit of a scrum down in Houston right now, and everybody's picking up and trying to help. You know, it's funny. Brian, my best friend, who's like a Houston guy, she died on Sunday. He texted me on Sunday that she had passed, and we were expecting it not that weekend. Texts me, I won't be in tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, really? But he came in Tuesday. I cannot believe, that he did that. So, I mean, I'm sad, but you need to be thankful for stuff. It's, life is a gift. It's so oversaid, and you're talking about when I'm talking about Becky, she was not even 60. She was like 56 or 7 years old. I mean, we take it for granted. You always hear the stories, until it hits you. And you're like, oh, but I mean, it's been a year for me that we had a little 3-year-old boy die, our neighbors. He had problems, born with a heart that had a big hole in it, and he lived for 3 years. And I look at their family and I'm just like, how the hell do they live? Right? You got to be happy with what you have. So when it comes to stuff, I want to bring it to everybody. Let's not make it all a sloshy thing. But I mean, you really got to look back on the buying season. What's going well for you? And focus on that. I mean, I didn't want to make today about what's not going well in the buying season, because hopefully you're fixing that. So what is going well is where you have to learn to appreciate it and then make it better, right? And make it better. And so there's Steve. And so miss you, buddy. You're just busy, I'm sure. And so, but yeah, I mean, I'm really, I had some hard anxieties coming out of COVID. Then we had all that shit happen this year, had anxieties last year. And I'm like completely solved of anxieties. I mean, I still have some little stuff, but I've learned the value of being happy with my buying season. This is the second, or tied with the second best fall season we've ever had. And I've done it with guys who are, last year, our average ticket was, now this is not a great number to track, but our average ticket across the board was 5,000 last year in the fall. This year it's 2005, less than half. But guess what? The one number I really care about, and I'm really happy about the buying seasons, is we're 300% more in profits.
Well, that's the thing about, our industry that always amazed me is, and I kind of use it as a tagline all the time, is the top line is always vanity and the bottom line is sanity. And then I end it with cash is king. So really, it doesn't matter whether you're $1 million company, a $10 million company. It's all about what's in your pocket at the end of the year and what you get to keep, because everything else is irrelevant. So
if it ain't in the bank, it don't count.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So this might be off topic. If it is, this is another day. But say you have, cash on hand. Do you advise against putting it in some type of CD or anything like that? Investing it, or what was the other one?
We know where you're going here, so let me go before Chuck goes. It depends on everybody's situation. So I have a lot of money from 2 property sales in the bank right now. The bank is freaking out on me to invest or CD it or something and do something with it. And I'm like, I'm building a cabin. It's going to cost me $125,000. I know that's going away. I need to have a certain amount in my chimney account that I'd like for my cash flow. And right now I like to have a little bit about my, my personal cash flow on hand to be, a little ramped up versus an investment. I've always been a cash guy. I'm not saying that's good. I have a couple small investments. When I turn 62, I'll get a couple $100,000. My investment to me has always been the chimney business. And so Right or wrong, that's where I'm at. We've got insurances, and we've got $1 million policies on me for my wife and her. But if I die before I'm 73, we both get $1 million, stuff like that. The question here, to answer the real question, is where are you comfortable that you never have to go find money, and then invest after that?
Mm-hmm.
That's my answer. Chuck, what do you think?
So yeah, I concur with a lot of what you're saying. It's all about risk tolerance. So here's what I would tell you, and please don't answer this question. This is rhetorical. The dollar amount that you're talking about that right now looks to be extra to you, just to quantify it, let's say it's $100,000, just to put a number on it. So that's not a lot of money to make much difference to anybody. Like you're going to retire and live for 20 years on that. Mm-hmm. So what I would tell you is I would probably split it. I would, just quick version, I'd probably take 50, and I would put, if you don't already have a corporate savings account that gives a little bit better return of interest than just a regular passbook account, I would open one. That gets it out of your checkbook, so it's not staring you in the face, and all of a sudden you feel, what did you call it, Chad? Trailer park rich or whatever. You don't see it anymore. It's in another account. The other 50,000, if you have enough cash flow to support all this, that's making that assumption, I would then put in a CD. But you've got to understand what the rules of most CDs are. If things went south, let's say the first quarter, the first 5 months of the year gets slow for God knows whatever reason, okay, you need to get that money. There can be penalties if you take it out early. So make sure, and sometimes it's as little as 3 months, or it might be you can only hit it 3 times in a calendar year. So you just need to know what the terms are. And every bank is a little bit different with their terms. But yeah, if you were sitting on 100K and you told me you had enough cash flow in checking, and this was really extra money, but you didn't want to blow it, I would put 50 in a safe corporate savings account. And it's got to be corporate, so there's no piercing any kind of corporate veils or creating any tax liability, depending on how you're registered. And then the other 50, if you're looking at that as extra, then invest it in something that's going to give you a little bit better yield. But, knowing what the economy looks like and kind of what I've been forecasting, as Chad said, this is not the year to be spending money. I was never a big person on spending money just to spend money anyway. But we all have that, devil sitting on our shoulder telling us to get a boat or, a big truck we don't need, or, my problem is Corvettes and Cadillacs. Definitely have an addiction there, and that's an expensive one. But, when Warren Buffett, I follow him and Ray Dalio, and when you see Warren Buffett like selling a butt ton of stocks, that should open your eyes. The other thing that I read all the time and constantly looking about financing and forecasting stock markets, things like that. One of the things that I look at as kind of a leading economic indicator is small business pass-through. So if you have a corporation and then you pass that through to yourself as far as corporate profits, that's been down significantly for this year. So the answer to the reason why of that is it's telling me that the contractor has not kept up with inflation and is not passing those costs along, and it's coming out of the bottom line. So you might, stay at, around 3 million where you were last year, but when the dust settles, you're going to have less money if you didn't raise your prices. And everything is up about 30% overall over the last 2 years. And you got to remember, when you're looking at interest rates, if they're talking about 8 or 9% a year over a 2 or 3 year period, that also compounds. So even though we can do simple math and 3 times 9 is 27, no, it ends up with compounding being closer to 35% if those were the numbers. So you have to keep that in your mind of how this, is putting you behind the 8 ball if you're not watching the numbers and knowing what your true costs are. Okay, I'm done. I don't want to take over.
No, you're good. That was great.
I got something for you, that I probably never told you, and I don't even know if I even told Mike. I've kind of come to figure out it's 100,000 for every million is what you should have cash on. So if you're a million, if you're 1.3, 1.5, you should have $150,000 on hand at all times. You know, $4 million company like me, I should have 400. We exceed that. Cash available, we have that. You know, and I try to build up. I'll just say the number. I'm trying to get to 600,000 this year, and I'm going to come real close in cash. That's what I'll have to see what happens the rest of the year. And I mean, and we hopefully will not use as much as we did in this year in the spring. You know, I'm pretty sure some catastrophic stuff that happened this year will not happen next year. So hopefully, as I keep building that, what we call the nut money up, you know, I will stock away some of that and start, you know, investing into stuff. I actually, one of my hunting buddies, this is what he does. He works for one of the big investment firms, and he's the guy that actually bought my cabin. And we've been talking about, you know, next year I want to invest around $250,000 in something. And he said, right now, hold. Let's not put anything in the market right now.
Yeah, well, a lot of people would say that there's a season of opportunity coming up if you have, you know, a lot of liquid.
Yes.
So there might be a good reason to, you know, not buy a truck or whatever it is and tie your money up. I mean, who knows what kind of, you know, a lot of the best opportunities come up when you're not expecting it. So
Going on the offense. That's
be ready for it when it happens. I mean, if you're talking about how, you know, all those investors made a lot of their money, they bought, you know, when everyone else was selling, and
yeah,
you got to be prepared for it.
Well, yeah, that's the goal for us. We've got 3 months in expenses, payroll, everything, complete operations, in savings, and then production from this week and next week. So we're in a good spot, but our goal is we want to get a property later on in maybe 2 years. We rent a 5,000 square foot warehouse now. Give or take, it's about $3,400 plus pack. And it's extremely low in my opinion. So we can stay there as long as we want, but I'd like to, you know, gain an asset in 2 years or so, and, you know, maybe put, you know, 200,000 down plus having, you know, 3 months, you know, saved up, stuff like that. So just getting other people's viewpoints and trying to be a sponge and learn as much as I can. But ultimately, I'm not making any moves. I did a little bit of research on profit sharing accounts too, something to help with employees and also, you know, the business as well. But well, yeah, just wanted everyone's opinion.
Well, the one thing
that
about
it is, oh, go ahead, Chad.
Go ahead, Mike. No, go ahead.
A little off topic, but being that it is like, you know, the busy season for us, I was just wondering what you guys do to keep morale high, to keep guys going. You know, I mean, our company makes a big push. It's kind of a strain on everybody a little bit. You know, what do you guys do?
I got to tell you, right now it's been weird because, you know, we've restructured the company. It's a little different than before. We're using our subs a little bit more right now than what we did. So I love the model we have now for being a Texas sweep, of having 3 or 4 trucks as subs that don't need me in the off season, that they have more than enough jobs and make more money off season. They are slower in the winter, but they still do they've always done big jobs for us. You know, I've had these guys for 20 years, and we committed to, you know, after what happened this late spring, early summer, we decided to let go of like 5 trucks in Dallas, 10 guys, all of our masons, and let our subs take it over. Now I planned that. That wasn't something we did. This was strategically planned. We made sure that we went. And in fact, this is just talked about earlier this week in our mixed group. I mean, I strategically planned this. Juan, my sub, he's been doing chimneys for 20 years with me. He doesn't do side jobs. they do plenty of He's the one that remodeled my house. He's the one that's built my old cabin. I mean, I give him plenty of work. He does our major big jobs, and he tried to strike it off on his own without me for a few years. And when he came to do my remodel of my kitchen this spring, it was right when all the bad stuff was happening. I started looking into what would it look like if we didn't have these 3 mason crews we have, and these 2 other shit crews that are low bottom, easy sweep stuff crews. And I wonder how much Juan could get done versus these 5 trucks. And I started talking to Juan about it during our remodel. He's like, Chad, I've seen your guys' work. It's okay. I can get it all done faster. You'll have no callbacks, and I can do the work of 5 trucks with 3. And I went, let me think. Let me look at this. It wasn't an hour later. I said, Juan, get in here in the office. I said, what does this look like? How do we do this? So me and him in the next week or 2 worked it all out. I got my accountant, my insurance agent, all involved. We had to sign so many papers. We had to make sure that the truck says subcontractor of, his shirt said to do it. We can't schedule his stuff. He's got to tell us when to do it. We're just doing all this work that we could do it right. And we went through, we did everything. He had to sign amenity paperwork. I don't remember what the hell it was all called. All this different stuff that we're not liable. If his guys fall off a roof, it's all him. And it was a lot. We had to take on an extra policy, which didn't cost much, but we had to do all this work to get it done, and we did it. I rent him trucks at fair market value, so not like renting him for $1. He rents 3 trucks from our, let me tell you, not rents, what do you call it, subleases or leases them from us. When he will get to keep the trucks as a lease when they're done. So he gets to keep them when they're done. If he wants them, if not, we'll sell them. Doesn't matter. So we've dotted our I's and crossed our T's on this. And I will tell you, I've had one complaint with Juan, a customer complaint about Juan's crews in the last 6 months or 5 months. One. And it was a legitimate one. It was one that Juan apologized for, one of his guys. Not going to get into it. So, yeah, it happens. Still people, So we did that. I mean, I don't remember what our topic was is why I went into that story.
Learn how to keep morale up with your employees and
So
let them
morale.
go and hire subs.
I took everyone out. Just last week we had our company party. Surprised all the wives with gifts, of the techs, their wives. And we played a bunch of games, had some amazing barbecue and a really nice venue or whatever, and surprised them all with bonus checks, stuff like that. But I don't know, we're all really close, and I'm not. It's 9 of us, smaller groups, so we're all like family. So it's been good, but we're all so close. Like if someone's down or someone's off, someone shows up to, help pick up the slack. Like I posted today, all our trucks were on deck except one that was back at the shop. Everyone showed up to help on the job today, whether it was loading up the debris. That's just what we do. And, it all the way down to, hey, can you go get me the wrench in the truck, please? Instead of like, hey, go get me a wrench now. Like it's just, I don't know. It's just little stuff, but it took some time to get there. Like I've had employees for, I don't know, a year and a half now. So the culture was the biggest thing from the beginning. And it goes the employee, the customer, and then the company. And I've stuck with that since the day I started. And I think it's shown with what we're able to accomplish now. We're all tired though. Don't get it wrong.
Chris has an awesome company, for sure. So the answer to the question, Mike, we're not doing shit right now about it. So, I went down that road. I'm sorry. We're not doing shit about it because we have all new guys. They're all ramped. They might be getting fatigued right now, but I don't know. They're getting a 3-day weekend. They get a 3-day weekend in the next weekend, and so what we do, and if you recall, we don't do a Christmas party. We do a company party in January. So we don't do it where because everybody has wives and they have their Christmas parties, and because of what's going on, I wait till after the holidays, and then we throw a big shindig for everybody, so it's kind of off season, but it's second week of January. I think I just told them to do it because we have Lindemann U coming up, so I don't remember what week they said they're doing it, and then I've got to go down for the thing in Houston for the funeral, but we're figuring all that out. But I mean, come morale. Typically, we don't do much but a party. We're trying. Their culture is still good. That's us. And so, what are you doing?
We just had our company party. It was really cool. We kind of just did it in our warehouse on a budget, which was pretty fun. Everyone just kind of chipped in to decorate everything. We had a photo booth there, so we got a bunch of really funny pictures and videos, a bunch of good food, and so many kids. I mean, our work is like, I mean, I don't know. I know you visited Chad. I don't know if there were kids running around, but there's, at first we weren't sure what to do about it. We have a lot of single moms and dads. And so, there was always and with a big CSR team like that, every day was one of them has some kind of, my kid's sick or the school or the babysitter or whatever it is. So we turned our break room into like a kid's play area. We have an arcade up there. It's a little cooler now than when you visited, Chad. And so our anybody can, and we just made it open, like any day, bring your kid. You don't have to ask, there's a video camera up there so they can keep an eye on them. And it's a pretty cool vibe. Like, it just worked out really great. Everyone just took a big sigh of relief. Like, it made their lives a lot easier. And so there's just a lot of kids. And there were a ton of kids at our holiday party, and that was super fun. We had I don't know, these bears that you paint, and we had there's these like big cotton snowballs, which was like a little bit out of control for a while. There were kids on the mezzanine just pelting people with these fake snowballs. Yeah, so that was good. And then, I'm making an effort, but we also have a lot of people that are satellite employees. So, obviously, maybe in the future we'll fly people in to come to a party like that, but we didn't do that this year. So there's a lot of people that don't have in-person interactions. It's like Zoom meetings and phone calls and stuff like that. So I've been making an effort to systematically call people, because otherwise I'll, 50 plus people, I could go months without talking to somebody, and they're working remote, and it's not the same cultural experience for them. So just literally finding a time in the day where they're driving between jobs or something, give them a call, see how they're doing. And I also gain like a ton of insight on, they're like, hey, this is going really well, or this could be better, or just whatever's on their mind. And that's been going really well. A phone call,
That's good. Well, it's funny. It comes down to touches, doesn't it? How many times you touch your people. And it's one of those things that I've been kind of doing a little bit more and talking about. As a matter of fact, one of my new clients I'm coaching right now, she asked me literally right before Chad. She gets done about an hour before. She heard me talking about it somewhere else. Just tell me more about the touches. What do you really mean? And I'm just like, well, I touch my managers every week a certain amount of times. My CFO I touch 3 times a day about the numbers and the money and things like that. But I called my COO today. I need to call my general manager tomorrow. I'm giving them touches. And then when it comes to the employees, they, like you just said, you're touching them. You're calling them up, because those little phone calls matter. Even if you see the people every day, it is that pat on the back, that with the unexpected pat on the back, not the expected one. Like, I did a good job. pat me on the back. Good. No, it's that random call every once in a while are the ones that they remember. They don't remember when they did a good job and got a thank you. Typically, they remember when you called them for no reason and said thank you or good job or something.
Yeah.
Right?
And finding the excuses. So my recent excuse is, our CRM Service Titan sends out a pre-appointment reminder, and so they get a picture of the technician and a bio, right? And so maybe 25% of our technicians don't have bios, and the ones that do are pretty old. So I just made a list of like, what's your family life like? What's your, how many pets do you have? What are 3 interesting things about you? And they really, really help with rapport. Like they show up and the customer already knows about them and, maybe what sports teams they like and that kind of stuff. And so instead of just giving them this questionnaire to fill out and get back to us, I'm calling them up and today I learned Wade, we have this sales guy, Wade, he's in Vegas. I learned he's done stand-up comedy for like a year at the Comedy Store in LA. That's like my favorite place. Yeah. Yeah. Total like badass. And, and then finding excuses. So we have a job we've been selling in Vegas for a month or two now. And for us, for our doors, the production time, there's a big gap between like a month or two. So now we're getting to where we're going to do the installs, and we don't have a production van there in Vegas. It's here in California. So I was like, okay, well, let's just drive it. Let me drive it down. I'll use that as an excuse to have dinner with Wade. So we're doing that tomorrow. I'm driving to Vegas, and then I'm taking him and his wife out to the Vegas Sphere. And he said he's never been there. I'm like, dude, awesome. Let's go. So it's going better than I would have thought with the satellite employees, but I don't know. I want to do better. I wish I could do better. It's just tricky.
Well, it is a different animal, and you do gotta, it is definitely. I mean, because I had that with Houston, and I failed at it in Atlanta, and I failed at it, and many people don't know. We were in Atlanta and in Denver at one time, as well as Houston and Oklahoma City. It's a tough booger, man. I mean, you've got to trust the people to do their stuff, but you also have to have the oversight to make sure they're doing it when you're not there to check. So it's a different animal, and so so there's a lot more touches involved, and so different ways. And you driving up to Vegas is awesome. That'll be a good time. And so, well, guys, Merry Christmas.
Hey, before you cut off, I got one thing I want to throw out real quick, if that's okay.
Yeah, hit me.
Wanted to throw some love and kudos to Chris. It was really nice hearing his example of leadership and the culture he's built. And I don't say that lightly. I've always known how to be a leader. I think I'm a very good leader. Of course, I've got a big ego, so I can say that. But understanding the culture of getting a team environment and working together as a team took me forever until literally the last 5 to 7 years to really understand. Not that I'm any kind of an expert on it, but good for you, Chris. I was very, very enlightened to hear that. So keep up the good work.
I appreciate that. Last thing I gotta add. Something that really helped in his work for us was I sit everyone down individually, and I want to know what their goals are, not just work goals, but like personal goals. And I don't allow them to make small goals. They can have a couple of basic ones, but it's like, what is something that you really, really want that you don't think you can do, so on and so forth. And following up with that and genuinely knowing and caring and understanding is helped drastically too. So not only am I, not to sound corny, okay, but not only am I achieving my goals, my personal goals, my family goals and stuff, but they're also doing it too. So I'm not the only one eating at the dinner table.
If you see me smiling It's because the king of that is sitting next to me on this thing is Mike. I mean, the system he has for that is unmatched to anyone else in the company or in the industry. And so that's the truth. I mean, Mike.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of Jordan Peterson, and
Yes.
he's big on that. Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
And it is just mind-boggling, sitting with people and how many people haven't thought of that stuff on their own. They're literally day to day, and they don't stop and think, hey, where do I want to be in 10 years or 5 years or next year? And I don't know about for you, but for me, often it takes like a couple of conversations to really get their mind wrapped around that. And then it's really cool
when it clicks.
Yeah, I mean, they literally haven't thought about it sometimes, and it's like then it's like, okay, let's think about it for a week, and then we'll sit down again. You know what I mean?
Well, it comes to mind, Stoner's story, how he talks about that ride with the guy that he, I guess, kind of grew up, go to that funeral, what the perfect day is. Yeah. You guys just go read his book to read more about it. But that perfect day, the guy had never done that. And the guy had worked for Mark. Mark had to terminate him. And to go over this shortly, they're both from the same hometown. There was a funeral. Mark called up the guy, hey, I'm going up there. You want to ride with me? And the guy said, yes. So, if anyone knows Mark, he's going to talk to you, and he's talking to the guy, and they got to the, point of, of Mark could see that this guy has no hope and vision for himself. And so he said, let's do something that my mentor used to do with me. And let's plan out what's your perfect day. And of course, anyone that does this thing, it's always odd when you're doing it with them. And so you've got to kind of coach them through it. And he said, no. So tell me, what does it look like? I mean, where are you going to live? And how big's the house going to be? What color is the house? What color is the roof? How big's the yard? And Mark went all through this. The guy had all the stuff, and it is kind of a funny story. So I guess I'll just kind of finish it out as quick as I can. So the guy comes up with all this, and then they go do their thing, they drive home, whatever. Mark sees him, and I don't know the time frame. You have to read the book or ask Mark. Let's just say it was a year later. I think it was about a year. Mark sees him on the street somewhere. And the guy goes, Mark, you changed my life. I can't believe it. And he goes, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, that exercise we did in the car made me realize I need to get my shit together, and I needed to start doing this. And so I took action, and I have almost everything that we did. No, I forgot the one part of the story I got to say. So when they're doing the story on the way up to the funeral, he said, okay, who are you married to? Do you have a girlfriend? And the guy goes, yeah, I want a girlfriend. And he goes, but I don't want a 10. I want like a 4. I don't care. I'm not going to have a 10. That's just me. I know it. Mark's laughing. Goes, what do you mean? You don't want an 8? And the guy's like, no, I'm a 4 guy. I'll get lucky if I have a 6. So when he sees him a year later, he's telling him I have everything. And it hits him. And he remembers, well, do you have a girlfriend? Are you married? Is she a 4? And the guy says something like, no, I love her. I think he said she's a 5 or something. It's just,
yeah,
it was super funny. And so good story. And so, yeah. But I mean, it's just like, kind of bringing it full circle, happy buying season. As I talked about, and I didn't try to make it downer. I've had some loss with people this year. I've witnessed their families go through this. You need to take an account for what you have. Because I promise you it's not as bad as what it is with other people. So enjoy your blessings, count them, and let everyone else see what you're doing. Because you know what? It's not the one that I will end this on this, and we do have to go, is it's not conceited. It's not bragging if you know how to tell people how well you're doing. A lot of people want to hear it. There are people that can't handle it. I'm not talking about that people. I'm talking about, at least in our industry, I wish more people would talk a little bit more about their wins and let everybody know a little bit more how they're doing and what they're doing. And keep us as an industry I would love to hear from people how well they're doing. And so if you watch this, you're on the replay, type in the comment what your win is. I'd like to hear some comments if we get any, see what your wins are. So with that, guys, hey, Chuck, Mike, Chris, thanks for coming on. And
Thanks.
I'm going to take you off camera, and I love you
Merry
guys
Christmas.
all. Thank you.
Merry
See
Christmas.
you soon.
Yep. See ya.
Okay, guys, that was a fun chat with you. It was good. I want everybody to count your blessings because it matters. I mean, other people are watching your blessings too. If you're growing a company around in the chimney business or in any service business, I'm a mumbler, sorry. People are watching, and they're watching you win. You know, I'm not saying go brag about your numbers, but, you know, help people out. Make them feel that they're part of your wins too, because it does help. So, guys, with that, I don't know if I'm doing Chat with Chad next week. I had planned on it, but I might take I am off next week, so I might take it off. You will see it in Chat with or in Chimney World if I'm going to do it on Tuesday. If I decide not to do it, I won't do it, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. If not, I'll see you next year. Merry Christmas, everybody.